good morning everyone. So for this video lecture will be the last for 150. So for answer 150 on the ruminant production. So itong pasture establishment, hindi lang to sa sheep. So this is for the whole ruminant. So yun yung i-discuss ko ngayon. So hindi lang for sheep, pwede rin sa mga goat, sa mga carabao, so sa mga cattle natin, mainly kasi yung i-discuss ko is in general, yung mga general principles in pasture establishment. So first, with that, yung introduction natin, pasture establishment is vital to ensure high levels of production pastures. So, dun sa pasture establishment kasi, meron kang sinusunod na mga management practices, mga principles na kailangan mong gawin para ma-ensure mo na yung i-produce mo na mga pasture is of high quality. So, this is advantageous. It will benefit the farmer kasi kung nakapag-produce ka ng high quality na mga pastures, then mas maganda ngayon yung nutrient composition niya. Mas maganda ngayon yung nutrient composition ng mga pastures na ibibigay mo for your ruminants. So kung mas maganda yung nutrient composition na kinakain ng mga ruminants na pasture, then mas marami or mas maganda rin yung pumapasok na nutrients doon sa kanila. So kung mas maganda yung nai-ingest na nutrients, mas maganda yung nakukuha na nutrients ng mga ruminants, then meaning they become more productive, mas maganda yung quality ng mga products that they are producing. So yun yung importance ng pasture establishment. So before you establish a pasture, or before you renovate yung mga existing pasture natin, producers must evaluate the farm's forage needs. So hindi lang basta-basta na magpo-produce ka, ay mag-establish ka ng pasture or magre-renovate ka ng existing pasture. So, kailangan you consider factors para ma-ensure mo na nakukuha or na provide mo yung needs ng mga forages mo. So, it is important to consider, number one, how the forage will be used. So, yun, if it is for grazing or hay. So, meaning, you need to know, nasa sayo na yan kung ano ba talaga yung forage na kailangan mong itanim or anong forage yung gusto mong itanim in relation to ano yung gusto mong mangyari. For grazing nga ba? So, ipapasture mo ba yung mga ruminants mo doon sa pasture area? Or for hay nga ba? Yung paggagawa ka ng hay. Kasi, merong mga species ngayon that are species ng mga forage that are better for grazing at saka may mga species ng forage that are better for hay. So, kailangan alam mo yung forage, ano yung use ng forage doon sa sayo. And then, number two, what species might be more adapted to the area? So, hindi lang basta-basta na magtatanim ka ng gusto mong mga forage. So, you need to know yung climatic condition within that area or even on your country. So, kung dito sa Philippines, which is a tropical climate, hot, humid for most of the year, so kailangan yung itatanim mong mga species ng forages are adapted to hot and humid climate. So, hindi pwedeng mamuhay or hindi ka pwedeng magtanim ng mga cold adapted na mga forage species natin kasi hindi rin naman mamumuhay. So sayang lang yung effort, time and money mo. And speaking of those, you need to know your capability, your resources. So kailangan alam mo yung mga equipments mo, yung money and time. So dapat i-consider mo itong mga factors na to kasi para ka rin nagtatanim ng isang crop species, sa pasture establishment, you consider it na para ka rin nagtatanim ng mga crops natin like rice, corn. So you need the equipment, the money, and the time. So you need to make sure that all of these resources are available to you. Kasi kung hindi, then higher yung chances na mag-fail yung pasture establishment mo. So with that, renovating a pasture should be based on existing percentage of desirable species present in the pasture. So ito naman, kung meron kang existing na pasture, so hindi ka na rin naman mag-establish ng pasture mo if meron ka naman. So yung gagawin mo na lang is i-renovate mo na lang yung pasture. So yung pag-renovate ng pasture, binebase mo yan doon sa existing na mga species mo. Species of pasture mo that you deem desirable yung mga gusto mo. So, the following criteria could be used in such a decision. So, number 1, if the pasture contains 75% or more of the desirable species, then consider not renovate and concentrate on management. So, sinasabi, if yung nakita mo doon sa pasture area mo is 75%, mostly of the pasture species doon is desirable sa'yo, is of benefit sa'yo. If 75% or higher, then wag ka nang mag-renovate. Masasayang lang yung mga pasture species. Yung gagawin mo na lang is on management practices na lang. So, yung pasture mo naman, if it contains 40 to 75% of the desirable species, then consider overseed and concentrate on management. So, magtatanim ka pa rin ng yung mga desirable species mo ng pasture, pero wag mong i-renovate completely at hahayaan lang yung mga 40% to 75% ng mga pasture species mo doon. Then magtatanim ka ulit pero not fully renovated. Then you need to concentrate on management ulit. Then, number 3, if the pasture contains less than 40% of the desirable species, then consider reestablishment. So, if it is 39% and below yung na-compute mo or nakita mo na parang mga desirable species, then reestablish na. So, lahat na ng mga pasture species na yun, tatanggalin mo na, then you go for pasture establishment na. So, parang ganito, nandito. So, dapat wala ng ibang species na namumuhay. So, you practically start from the beginning. So, yon. So, with that, kailangan natin ng i-consider first if you're establishing a pasture, yung soil fertility. So, if possible, adjust soil fertility prior to seeding. So, before ka magtanim ng yung pasture species, dapat you consider yung fertility ng soil. So, dito kasi, may mga pasture or almost all of the pasture species, meron niyang gustong level ng soil fertility. So, kung mababa yung soil fertility mo, then most of the time, hindi yan fit for pasture establishment or even crop establishment. Kasi hindi rin yan mamumuhay. For example, hindi yan mamumuhay. Or kung tutubo man yung tinanim mo, then hindi niya ma-reach yung maximum potential niya kasi or hindi siya lalaki ng maayos kasi mababa yung soil fertility. So, you need to consider yung soil fertility muna. Kung mababa, then you adjust yung soil fertility. So, the first step is to obtain an accurate soil sample and apply the recommended amounts of lime and fertilizer prior to seeding. So, yun. Dumako tayo dun sa soil science na. So, dapat alamin mo muna yung soil fertility using soil sample. So, mag-sample ka ng soil. So, kukuha ka ngayon ng soil doon sa field na balak mong pagtamnan ng mga pasture species, kukuha ka ngayon, and then contact your local Department of Agriculture office, doon sa soil science laboratory nila, then you ask for parang for soil analysis. So after that, bibigyan ka ng result, then makikita mo if ano yung soil fertility nung pasture area na pagtatamnan mo. Kung baka naman mababa yung nitrogen level, baka mababa yung phosphorus level, then doon, yun yung pagbebasean mo, yung result ng soil analysis, doon ka magbebase kung anong fertilizer yung ibibigay mo doon sa soil. Tapos tignan mo rin kung mataas yung acidity, yung pH. Kung mababa yung pH, then acidic, then lagyan mo ng lime. So yun. Basta you need to have a soil analysis muna. So with that, pag nakita mong acidic yung soil mo, it is one of the major factor limiting forage production. Yung soil acidity natin. So, yung mga acidic conditions, it will reduce kasi yung mga nutrient availability. It can also reduce yung root growth and then nitrogen fixation of legumes. So, meaning, hindi makakakuha ngayon ng pasture species mo, yung mga crops mo, ng sapat na nutrients, lalong-lalo na ng nitrogen, if your soil is acidic. So, any nutrient deficiencies will compromise the success of the stand or yung crops mo or yung mga pasture species mo. Kasi nga deficient sila sa nutrients. So, lalong-lalo na if kailangan nila talaga major nutrients talaga yung deficient sila, then hindi sila talaga tutubo ng maayos. So, yung lime, it also affects the availability of most of the other essential elements needed for forage production. So, phosphorus availability in particular increases as the pH is increased. So, for forages to be productive, grass pastures should be maintained at a pH of 5.8 to 6.2. So, yun yung range na kailangan mong i-target. 5.8 or 6.2. Yun yung pH. So, mostly, slightly acidic lang, pero hindi yung kagrabe. So, yung mga legumes naman natin should have a pH value of 6 to 6.8. So, pupunta na sa neutral zone. So, 6 to 6.8. So, to maintain such pH level, ganitong range, 5.8 to 6.2 or 6 to 6.8 na pH, lime application might be necessary. So, yung lime kasi, kinokorek niya yung soil acidity. Aside from that, it also supplies yung needed calcium and magnesium at saka nire-reduce niya yung availability of toxic nutrients such as aluminum and manganese. So, yun yung ginagawa ng lime. Kaya importante na mag-apply ng lime doon sa soil na pagtatamnan mo, lalong-lalo na if you see that it is acidic. Kung acidic, grabe yung acidity ng soil mo. So, recommended ba na mag-apply ng lime doon sa mataas naman yung pH? So, hindi na pwede kasi hindi na yun range ng mga pasture species natin, yung mga grass pasture natin. Kung mataas rin naman yung pH, meron rin namang mga nutrients that will become unavailable to the pasture grasses natin. So, it is only recommended to apply mga lime when the acidity is too much, kung mababa talaga yung soil pH. So, with that, pag okay na yung soil fertility, maganda na, na-correct na yung acidity, yung pH ng soil, then you prepare seedbed preparation na. So, good seed-to-soil contact is essential to maintain adequate moisture near the seed. So, this moisture is necessary for germination and for the small root system of young grass seedlings. So, the type of seedbed preparation that is chosen will depend on the type of equipment available. and whether a new pasture is being established or an existing pasture is being renovated. So may dalawang ano yan, may dalawang parang klase ng seedbed preparation for pasture establishment. So if you want, if you see that the pasture area needs establishment talaga, yung magsisimula ka from scratch, then conventional tillage yung gagawin mo, parang ganito. Then if meron ka ng existing pasture, tapos yung kailangan lang is renovation, then no-till drill yung gagawin mo. Seedbed is a key step in pasture establishment. So, first, dun sa conventional tillage, should be used when a uniform seedbed is needed. So, yung mga large soils kasi, mga large soil clads and excess sod na soil will impact seed germination. So, kailangan na tinitil natin yan ng maigi in order for the seed to properly germinate. Kasi kung meron ka nitong mga large soil clads, ang mangyayari ngayon is mahirapan ngayon na mag-penetrate um, yung seed, yung leaves niya, mahirapan mag-penetrate, then baka hindi pa um, magiging successful yung germination niya. So, kailangan tinitil natin ng maayos para mataas yung seed germination percentage ng mga itatanim natin. So, forages established in conventional seedbed usually establish quicker and more uniform than no-till established pasture. So, yun daw. So, yung mga conventional tillage daw natin, yun yung parang advantage, conventional tilling, quicker and more uniform yung seed germination niya, yung pagtubo ng mga pasture species natin. So conventional tillage seedbeds also warm quicker, also allow for better seed germination at cooler temperatures. So yung disadvantage ng isang conventional tillage is that since tinitil mo, ginagalaw mo yung soil, then it will, merong soil erosion na magaganap that can change yung soil structure due to tillage and higher oxidation of organic matter. So meaning, higher oxidation of organic matter, less moisture retention. So yun. Yun yung disadvantage ng tillage, conventional tillage. So, sa no-tillage naman, it involves using herbicides to kill existing vegetation and then seeding directly into the residue. The advantage ng isang no-tillage are the reduction of passes over the field, potential reduced soil erosion, and then improved moisture conservation. The disadvantage of no-till are slower and less uniform seedling emergence. Kasi nga hindi mo tinil yung land properly, then some of the seeds mas mahirapan ngayon na mag-emerge and some will talaga hindi na mag-emerge, hindi na mag-germinate. So, slower and less uniform yung seedling emergence. Then, after that, then species selection naman yung i-consider mo dapat. So, selecting the right species or species mixture is extremely important. So, when establishing or renovating a pasture, it is important to match forage species to the site, soil type, and type of operation. If it is for grazing or hay, animal species and class. So, yun. Hindi lang basta-basta talaga napipili ka ng forage species, pasture species na itatanim mo. So, you need to consider the site. So, okay ba dito sa area na to, itong species na to, madali bang tutubo itong species na to dito sa site na to, dito sa existing climatic condition niya, then yung soil type, pwede ba to sa mga sandy na soil type, pwede ba to sa mga clay na soil type, so, and then for the type of operation, itong grazing, for grazing ako, dapat ba ito yung pipiliin kong species, for haymaking ako, maganda ba ito for haymaking? And then, yung mga animal species natin, baka naman ayaw nung goat itong ganitong forage, baka ayaw ng sheep ng ganitong forage. So, marami ka dapat na i-consider in species selection. So, dapat you know also your soil type, your soil composition, drainage, and then yung forage capability niya. So this information can be used to predict the success or failure of a potential forage species. Then after that, weed management naman. So a weed management plan will help ensure success in forage establishment. Kasi even though na we classify yung mga forage species natin as grasses, then kailangan pa rin na yung mga yung mga grasses that are not part or hindi yun yung tinanim mo, dapat wini-weed mo pa rin. Tinatanggal mo pa rin kasi nga nagko-compete pa rin yan doon sa nutrients. So, it is important to control weeds during establishment since newly emerged forage seedlings are extremely susceptible to weed competition. So, if katubo pa lang dagiti forage mo, nag-emerge pa lang sila, so mga young pa, then meron kang mga weed species doon, then nagko-compete yon. Nagko-compete yung weed, kinukuha niya yung mga nutrients that otherwise sana mapunta doon sa mga pasture grasses mo. So, yung mangyayari ngayon, yung weed na yun, yung tutubo at saka yung mga pasture species mo, yun na yung hindi tutubo. So, kailangan na you practice weed management pa rin. So, yun nga, weeds compete for water, nutrients, and sunlight. Lalong-lalo na yung mga broadleaf na weed natin. So, kailangan we control these species. Control can be accomplished but may take more than one application and may need to be applied at different times of the year. So, by using yung mga herbicide natin. So, this approach will better control weeds that germinate during different season kasi nga, you apply it at different times of the year using yung herbicide to control yung mga broadleaf weed natin. So, with that ends yung video lecture ko on pasture establishment. So, yung mga principles lang, hindi na yung parang in detail na since I know that same principle lang ito with that of crop establishment that I know that have discussed to you dun sa mga crop size subjects ninyo. So with that, that ends my video lecture on pasture establishment. Thank you for listening.